It was a quiet Tuesday morning on Earth, just like any other day. People were rushing to work, children were heading to school, and coffee shops buzzed with early risers eager for their caffeine fix. The sky above was clear, painted in soft shades of blue and white. No one had any idea that within hours their lives and the entire planet would change forever. Far away from Earth, in the cold vastness of space, an alien race known as the Zorathians watched silently. For decades they had observed humanity, studying their habits, strengths, and weaknesses. To the Zorathians, humans were primitive creatures, chaotic, unpredictable, and unworthy of joining the galactic community. They saw Earth as nothing more than a small, insignificant rock floating in the endless void. But today, something strange began to happen, something that would shake the very foundation of the universe. Back on Earth, Dr. Elena Carter, an astrophysicist, working at a top-secret observatory in New Mexico, noticed unusual readings on her equipment. She frowned, leaning closer to her computer screen. "This can't be right," she muttered under her breath. The data showed massive energy spikes in the upper atmosphere, far stronger than anything caused by solar flares or meteor showers. At first she thought it might be a glitch, but when she cross-checked the information with other satellites, the results were the same. Something big was happening, and it wasn't natural. Elena's heart raced as she called her colleague, Dr. Marcus Lee. "Marcus, you need to see this," she said urgently. Within minutes, Marcus joined her in the control room, his eyes widening as he scanned the data. "What could cause this?" he asked, scratching his head. "I don't know," Elena admitted. "But whatever it is, it's huge." As the two scientists worked to decipher the mystery, reports started pouring in from all over the world. People described strange glowing cracks appearing in the sky. In Tokyo, office workers paused mid-meeting to stare out the windows as shimmering fissures spread across the heavens like spiderwebs. In Paris, tourists gawked at the Eiffel Tower as the normally tranquil blue sky fractured into pulsating streams of light. Even in remote villages in Africa and South America, villagers gathered outside, pointing upward in awe and fear. Social media exploded with videos and photos of the phenomenon. Hashtags like Amasyrum sky cracks and End of the World trended globally. Some people claimed it was a sign of divine intervention, while others speculated about alien invasions or government experiments gone wrong. Conspiracy theories ran rampant, but no one could deny the sheer scale of what was unfolding. Meanwhile, aboard the Zorathian mothership, chaos erupted among the crew. Commander Vrax, a towering figure with metallic skin and glowing red eyes, stood frozen in shock as he stared at the monitors displaying images of Earth's sky splitting open. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Crix, approached cautiously. "Commander, what is happening?" she asked, her voice trembling. Vrax didn't answer immediately. He clenched his fists, trying to process what he was seeing. For years, the Zorathians had planned to invade Earth, intending to strip the planet of its resources and enslave its inhabitants. They believed humanity posed no real threat due to its lack of advanced technology and constant internal conflicts. But now something, or someone, was interfering with their plans. "This wasn't supposed to happen," Vrax finally growled, his voice low and dangerous. "Who dares to challenge us?" Crix hesitated before responding. "Could it be another species? Perhaps they've been hiding on Earth all along." Vrax shook his head. "No, we've monitored this planet for decades. There's no evidence of another advanced civilization here. This is something else entirely." As the cracks in the sky grew wider, massive structures began emerging from the rifts. Thousands of star destroyers, sleek and menacing, floated into view. Each ship was larger than anything the Zorathians possessed, bristling with weapons capable of obliterating entire planets. The sight sent waves of terror through the crew. Never before had the Zorathians encountered such power. On Earth, the appearance of the star destroyers only added to the confusion and panic. Governments scrambled to respond, holding emergency meetings and issuing statements urging calm. Military forces went on high alert, though everyone knew there was little they could do against ships of this magnitude. Then came the voice, a deep, resonant tone that echoed across every corner of the planet. It spoke in every language simultaneously, leaving no one untouched. "Citizens of Earth," the voice began, "we are the Sentinels, guardians of peace and order throughout the galaxy. For centuries, we have shielded your species from external threats while allowing you to evolve naturally. However, recent developments necessitate our direct involvement." The announcement stunned the world into silence. People stopped screaming, stopped running, and simply listened. The voice continued, explaining that the Sentinels had been observing Earth since its earliest days, ensuring its safety without interfering directly. Now, however, the presence of hostile forces, namely the Zorathians, forced them to reveal themselves. Among those listening was Elena Carter. She stood outside the observatory, staring up at the sky with tears streaming down her face. All her life she had dreamed of making contact with extraterrestrial life, but never in her wildest imagination did she think it would happen like this. The Sentinel's words filled her with both wonder and dread. What did this mean for humanity? Were they truly safe? Or was this the beginning of something far worse? As the Sentinels concluded their message, promising to protect Earth from any threat, Elena felt a mix of emotions: awe, fear, and curiosity. She knew that nothing would ever be the same again. High above Earth, aboard the Zorathian mothership, Commander Vrax struggled to maintain composure. Fear gripped him like never before, but beneath it burned a flicker of determination. If the Sentinels thought they could scare him off so easily, they were mistaken. "We will not retreat," Vrax declared, his voice firm despite the tremor in his hands. "Earth belongs to us, and we will take it, at any cost." With those words, the stage was set for a confrontation unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Sentinels had revealed themselves, humanity had awakened to its place in the cosmos, and the Zorathians were preparing for war. The calm before the storm was over. The world was in a state of shock. Streets were deserted as billions of people stood outside, staring at the sky, mesmerized by the sight of glowing cracks spreading like veins across the heavens. The star destroyers that had emerged from these rifts loomed ominously, their metallic surfaces reflecting sunlight and casting eerie shadows over cities and towns. It was as if the universe itself had torn open to reveal its secrets. In New York City, Times Square, the bustling heart of activity, was eerily silent. Giant screens that usually flashed advertisements now displayed live footage of the star destroyers hovering above Earth. Tourists and locals alike huddled together, whispering questions no one could answer. "What are they?" asked a young boy tugging at his mother's sleeve. She didn't reply, her eyes wide with disbelief. In Tokyo, office workers abandoned their desks to gather on rooftops, pointing upward as beams of light pulsed from the ships. In rural villages in India, farmers paused in their fields, shielding their eyes from the glare while trying to comprehend what they were witnessing. Even astronauts aboard the International Space Station stared in awe, snapping photos and videos to send back to mission control. Back on Earth, governments scrambled to respond. Emergency meetings were convened in secret bunkers, where leaders debated how to handle this unprecedented situation. Military commanders pored over satellite images, analyzing the Star Destroyer's designs and capabilities. Scientists raced to understand the energy readings associated with the rifts in the sky. Yet despite all their efforts, no one could fully grasp the magnitude of what was happening. Dr. Elena Carter, still standing outside the observatory in New Mexico, felt a mix of emotions swirling inside her. Awestruck by the sheer scale of the event, she also couldn't shake off a growing sense of unease. Who, or what, were these Sentinels? Why had they chosen to reveal themselves now? And most importantly, what did this mean for humanity's future? Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of her phone ringing. It was Dr. Marcus Lee, calling from inside the facility. "Elena, you need to come back in," he said urgently. "We've got something big here." She hurried inside, where Marcus greeted her with a tablet displaying new data streaming in from global observation networks. "Look at this," he said, pointing to a graph showing fluctuations in Earth's magnetic field. It's like the planet itself is reacting to those ships. Elena studied the graph carefully, her mind racing. This isn't just some random event, she murmured. Whatever's happening, it's affecting everything. The atmosphere, the oceans, even the core of the planet. As they discussed the implications, another announcement echoed through the room. The Sentinel's voice returned, calm yet authoritative, speaking directly to humanity once again. Citizens of Earth, it began, we understand your fear and confusion. Allow us to clarify our purpose. We are not invaders. We are protectors. For centuries, we have monitored your species, ensuring your survival amidst threats both known and unknown. Today, we intervene because hostile forces seek to exploit your vulnerability. You may know them as the Zorathians. The name sent a chill down Elena's spine. She exchanged a glance with Marcus, who looked equally stunned. Neither of them had heard of the Zorathians before, but based on the Sentinel's tone, they were clearly dangerous. The voice continued, explaining that the Zorathians, an advanced alien race, had been planning an invasion of Earth for years. They viewed humanity as weak and unworthy, intending to plunder the planet's resources and enslave its population. The Sentinel's arrival had disrupted those plans, forcing the Zorathians to retreat, for now. We will not tolerate aggression against peaceful civilizations, the Sentinels declared. Earth belongs to its people, and we will defend it accordingly. The message ended abruptly, leaving humanity to process the information. News outlets around the world replayed the announcement repeatedly, dissecting every word. Experts appeared on television panels speculating about the Sentinels' origins and intentions. Some praised them as saviors, while others warned of potential ulterior motives. For ordinary citizens, the revelation sparked a range of reactions. In Paris, a group of teenagers gathered near the Louvre, discussing the possibility of joining a galactic alliance. Imagine being part of something bigger than Earth, one exclaimed excitedly. In contrast, protests erupted in Washington, D.C., as crowds demanded transparency from their government. "They've been lying to us," shouted a man holding a sign that read, "Who controls our fate?" Religious leaders weighed in as well, interpreting the event through spiritual lenses. Some saw the Sentinels as divine messengers sent to guide humanity toward salvation. Others believed the ship signaled the end times prophesied in ancient texts. Amidst the chaos, Elena found herself drawn deeper into the mystery. Her superiors instructed her team to collaborate with international agencies investigating the phenomenon. Overnight, she became part of a global effort to decode the Sentinels' technology and understand their role in the universe. One evening, after hours of poring over data, Elena received an unexpected invitation. Through encrypted channels, representatives from the United Nations contacted her, requesting her presence at a top-secret summit. The meeting would take place aboard one of the Star Destroyers, a prospect both thrilling and terrifying. Elena hesitated initially, unsure if she was ready for such responsibility, but curiosity won out. If there was any chance to learn more about the Sentinels and perhaps help shape humanity's destiny, she knew she couldn't pass it up. The journey to the Star Destroyer was surreal. Elena boarded a small shuttle alongside other scientists, diplomats, and military personnel representing various nations. As the craft ascended, she pressed her face against the window, gazing at the massive ship looming ahead. Up close, it was even more imposing than she'd imagined, its surface gleaming like polished steel under the sun. Upon arrival, the group was escorted through towering corridors lit by soft, pulsating lights. The air hummed with energy, vibrating subtly beneath their feet. Despite the advanced surroundings, Elena noticed that the Sentinels themselves exuded a calming presence. Their forms were humanoid but ethereal, composed of shifting patterns of light and shadow. A Sentinel named Eris greeted them, introducing itself as a liaison between Earth and the galactic community. Its voice resonated in their minds rather than their ears, bypassing language barriers entirely. Welcome, it said. Your species stands at a pivotal moment in its evolution. How you choose to proceed will determine your place among the stars. Elena listened intently as Eris explained the Sentinels' history. For millennia, they had served as guardians, protecting weaker civilizations from predatory races like the Zorathians. While they preferred non-interference, certain situations required direct action. Earth, it seemed, had reached that threshold. What happens next? Elena asked cautiously. That depends on you, Eris replied. We offer guidance and protection, but ultimately, the choices belong to humanity. Will you unite and rise above your divisions? Or will you succumb to fear and conflict? The question lingered heavily in the room. Though the delegation consisted of individuals from different backgrounds and ideologies, they shared a common goal: to ensure Earth's survival. Over the next several days, Elena and her colleagues participated in intense discussions about humanity's role in the galaxy. They learned about the Sentinels' vast network of alliances, spanning countless worlds and species. They also discovered that Earth's inclusion came with conditions, namely, a commitment to peace, sustainability, and cooperation. For Elena, the experience was transformative. She realized that humanity's challenges weren't unique. Many civilizations had faced similar trials on their paths to advancement. What set Earth apart was its diversity, not just in terms of culture and geography, but in its untapped potential for growth and innovation. When the summit concluded, Elena returned to Earth with a renewed sense of purpose. The Sentinels' message was clear: humanity had been given a second chance. Whether they seized it or squandered it remained to be seen. Back home, debates raged on. Governments grappled with how to implement the Sentinels' recommendations without sparking further unrest. Activists argued for sweeping reforms, urging societies to abandon greed and embrace unity. Meanwhile, skeptics questioned the Sentinels' motives, warning of hidden agendas. Despite the uncertainty, one thing was undeniable: Earth's awakening had begun. The skies had parted to unveil star destroyers, but they had also opened humanity's eyes to possibilities beyond imagination. As Elena stared at the night sky from her balcony, she couldn't help but feel hopeful. The road ahead would be difficult, fraught with challenges and sacrifices. But for the first time in history, humanity wasn't alone. Together they might just find their place among the stars. While humanity grappled with the implications of the Sentinels' arrival, far beyond Earth's orbit, the Zorathians were reeling from their own fears. Commander Vrax paced furiously across the bridge of his mothership, his glowing red eyes darting between monitors displaying images of the star destroyers. His once unshakable confidence was crumbling under the weight of panic and frustration. "This cannot be happening," Vrax growled, slamming his fist against a control panel. "Who are these Sentinels? How could they have hidden themselves for so long?" Lieutenant Crick, standing nearby, hesitated before responding. "Commander, perhaps we should reconsider our approach. If the Sentinels are as powerful as they claim—" "Silence!" Vrax snapped, cutting her off mid-sentence. He glared at her, his metallic skin shimmering faintly in the dim light of the ship. "We are Zorathians. We do not retreat. We conquer." Crix lowered her gaze but remained silent. She knew better than to challenge Vrax directly, especially when he was in such a volatile state. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that continuing their mission would end in disaster. The Sentinels' ships dwarfed their fleet, their weapons gleaming ominously even from a distance. Every instinct screamed at her to turn back, to regroup, and reassess. But Vrax's pride and fear of appearing weak wouldn't allow it. Earth. The Sentinels monitored the Zorathians' every move. From their vantage point aboard the star destroyers, they deployed swarms of drones equipped with advanced scanning technology. These drones moved silently through space, mapping out the Zorathian armada and identifying vulnerabilities in their defenses. Within minutes, the Sentinels had compiled a detailed analysis of the enemy fleet, down to the smallest technical specifications. "They are predictable," Eris, the Sentinel liaison, observed calmly. addressing a group of human representatives who had been invited aboard one of the Star Destroyers for further discussions. Their technology is impressive by your standards, but it pales in comparison to ours. Dr. Elena Carter listened intently, her mind racing with questions. So, what happens next? She asked cautiously. Are you going to attack them? Eris turned its luminous form toward her, its voice resonating gently in her mind. Violence is rarely necessary. Our goal is deterrence, not destruction. However, if the Zorathians persist in their aggression, we will act decisively. Elena nodded, though unease lingered in her chest. Despite the Sentinel's assurances, she couldn't help but wonder how far the Zorathians would push before realizing they were outmatched. Back aboard the Zorathian mothership, Vrax made his decision. Ignoring warnings from his advisors, he ordered his fleet to advance toward Earth. If they think they can intimidate us, they are mistaken, he declared, his voice dripping with arrogance. We will show them the true power of the Zorathians. The Marlig fleet moved forward cautiously, their sensors scanning for any signs of retaliation. At first, nothing happened. The Star Destroyers remained stationary, their massive forms looming like silent sentinels in the void of space. Encouraged by this apparent lack of resistance, Vrax pressed on, ordering his ships to cross into Earth's orbit. Then, without warning, the Sentinels struck, not with weapons but with precision-engineered containment fields. Invisible barriers sprang up around the Zorathian fleet, immobilizing each ship instantly. Engines sputtered and died, communication systems went dark, and navigation controls froze. Panic erupted among the Zorathian crew members as they scrambled to regain control, but their efforts were futile. What is happening? Vrax demanded, his voice rising in desperation. Why can't we move? Crix checked the readings, her face pale with dread. It's some kind of energy field. It's neutralizing all our systems. Vrax clenched his fists, seething with rage. For the first time in his life, he felt truly powerless. The Sentinels' display of dominance left no room for doubt. They were dealing with an adversary far superior to anything the Zorathians had encountered before. Within moments, the Sentinels addressed the immobilized fleet. Their voice boomed across the void, calm yet firm. Zorathians, your actions constitute a violation of galactic law. Withdraw immediately and do not return. Failure to comply will result in severe consequences. Vrax gritted his teeth, humiliation burning within him. He considered ignoring the ultimatum, hoping to bluff his way out of the situation. But deep down, he knew there was no winning here. The Sentinels had demonstrated their superiority effortlessly, and any attempt to resist would only lead to annihilation. Reluctantly, Vrax activated the emergency communication system. Sentinels, he began, his voice trembling despite his best efforts to sound composed. We mean no harm. Please allow us to withdraw peacefully. There was a brief pause before the Sentinels responded. Withdraw, and do not return. With no other choice, Vrax gave the order to retreat. Slowly, painfully, the Zorathian fleet disengaged from Earth's orbit and limped back into deep space. As they disappeared into the darkness, Vrax vowed revenge. He wouldn't forget this humiliation, or the Sentinel's audacity to interfere with his plans. Humanity reacts to the showdown. News of the Zorathians' retreat spread quickly across Earth. Thanks to the Sentinel's surveillance systems, footage of the confrontation was transmitted to global networks almost instantly. People watched in awe as the alien fleet was immobilized without a single shot being fired. Social media exploded with reactions, ranging from relief and celebration to skepticism and fear. In New York City, crowds gathered in Times Square to cheer as news anchors replayed clips of the event. "This is incredible," shouted a man holding a sign that read, "Thank you, Sentinels." Nearby, a street performer dressed as a superhero mimicked the Star Destroyer's movements, drawing laughter and applause from onlookers. In contrast, protests erupted in several cities, with groups accusing governments of colluding with the Sentinels to impose a new world order. Conspiracy theories flourished, claiming everything from secret experiments to staged events designed to manipulate public opinion. Amidst the chaos, Dr. Elena Carter found herself thrust into the spotlight. Her involvement in the summit aboard the Star Destroyer had made her a key figure in bridging the gap between Earth and the Sentinels. Journalists clamored for interviews, eager to hear her perspective on the unfolding events. "It's overwhelming," Elena admitted during one press conference, standing alongside other scientists and diplomats. "But I believe this is an opportunity, a chance for humanity to step up and prove we're capable of more than just conflict and division." Her words resonated with many, inspiring hope amid uncertainty. Yet challenges remained. Governments struggled to adapt to the Sentinels' recommendations, which included drastic reforms aimed at fostering unity and sustainability. Activists pushed for action, urging societies to abandon greed and embrace cooperation. Skeptics, meanwhile, questioned whether the Sentinels truly had humanity's best interests at heart. The Sentinels' vision for humanity. As part of the ongoing collaboration, Elena and her colleagues continued working closely with the Sentinels. Through holographic projections and immersive simulations, the Sentinels shared glimpses of their vision for Earth's future. They showed images of thriving ecosystems, clean energy sources, and interconnected communities living in harmony. "These changes won't happen overnight," Eris explained during one session, "but they are achievable, if you commit to them fully." Elena marveled at the possibilities. She realized that while the Sentinels offered guidance and protection, the responsibility for shaping Earth's destiny ultimately lay with humanity itself. One evening, after another long day of meetings, Elena stood alone on the observation deck of the Star Destroyer. Gazing at Earth from above, she reflected on how much had changed in such a short time. The planet below looked fragile yet resilient, its beauty undiminished by the turmoil gripping its surface. "We've been given a second chance," she whispered to herself. "Let's not waste it." Unbeknownst to Elena, Eris approached quietly, its presence barely noticeable. "You carry great wisdom," the Sentinel said softly. "Your species has much potential, if guided wisely." Elena smiled faintly, turning to face Eris. "I just hope we're ready for what comes next." "You already are," Eris replied. "The question is whether you choose to rise to the occasion." With those words echoing in her mind, Elena returned to Earth, determined to play her part in shaping a brighter future. Though challenges lay ahead, she believed that together, humanity could overcome anything, even threats from beyond the stars. And so, as the skies cleared and the Star Destroyers took up their positions as guardians of Earth, humanity embarked on a journey unlike any other. The road would be difficult, filled with trials and sacrifices. But for the first time, they weren't alone. With the Sentinels watching over them, they dared to dream of a place among the stars. The days following the Zorathians' retreat marked a turning point for humanity. For the first time in history, Earth wasn't just a tiny planet floating unnoticed in the vastness of space. It was now part of something far greater. The Sentinels had revealed themselves not only as protectors but also as guides, offering humanity a chance to step into the galactic community. However, this newfound status came with responsibilities that no one could have anticipated. Dr. Elena Carter found herself at the center of it all. Her role as a liaison between Earth and the Sentinels grew increasingly demanding, yet she embraced it wholeheartedly. Each day brought new challenges, from deciphering the Sentinels' advanced technology to helping world leaders navigate the complexities of interstellar diplomacy. Despite the pressure, Elena felt alive in a way she never had before. She knew she was witnessing and participating in history. One morning, Elena arrived at the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, where representatives from nearly every country on Earth were gathered for an emergency summit. The room buzzed with tension as delegates argued over how best to implement the Sentinels' recommendations. Some nations advocated for immediate global reforms, while others resisted change, fearing loss of sovereignty or economic instability. Elena took her seat at the front of the room, flanked by scientists, military officials, and diplomats. As the meeting began, she addressed the assembly, her voice steady despite the weight of what she was about to say. The Sentinels have made it clear that humanity must unite if we want to survive in this new reality, she explained. There, protection doesn't mean we're safe forever. It means we have time to prepare. But preparation requires cooperation. Her words sparked heated debates. A representative from India stood up, his tone passionate. We cannot simply abandon centuries of tradition and culture because aliens tell us to. Who decides which changes are necessary? A European delegate countered sharply. If we don't adapt, we risk being left behind, or worse, destroyed. Look at what happened to the Zarathians. The arguments continued for hours, but slowly a consensus began to emerge. While disagreements remained, most delegates agreed that certain priorities needed urgent attention: addressing climate change, reducing inequality, and fostering international collaboration. These weren't new issues, but the stakes had never been higher. Global reforms take shape. In the weeks that followed, governments around the world launched ambitious initiatives aimed at aligning with the Sentinel's vision. Renewable energy projects received unprecedented funding, with countries racing to transition away from fossil fuels. Scientists worked tirelessly to develop technologies inspired by the Sentinel's designs, hoping to bridge the gap between human ingenuity and alien innovation. Education systems underwent radical transformations as well. Curriculums were updated to include lessons on galactic history, interspecies communication, and sustainable living. Children learned about the Sentinels alongside traditional subjects like math and science, their imaginations ignited by stories of distant worlds and advanced civilizations. Meanwhile, grassroots movements gained momentum as ordinary citizens demanded accountability from their leaders. Activists organized protests, petitions, and campaigns calling for transparency and fairness in implementing the Sentinel's recommendations. In cities across the globe, murals depicting star destroyers and hopeful messages of unity appeared on walls, symbolizing humanity's determination to rise to the occasion. For Dr. Marcus Lee, Elena's colleague, these changes were both exhilarating and overwhelming. He spent long hours poring over data sent by the Sentinels, analyzing patterns and insights that could help humanity better understand its place in the cosmos. One evening, as he reviewed a particularly complex set of equations, he couldn't help but marvel at the possibilities. This isn't just about survival anymore, he said to Elena during a late-night video call. It's about becoming something more, something greater. Elena nodded thoughtfully. But greatness comes with risks. Not everyone is ready for this kind of change. She was right. Resistance to the reforms persisted, especially in regions where political instability or economic hardship made adaptation difficult. Conspiracy theories continued to circulate, fueling distrust and fear. Some extremist groups even claimed the Sentinels were imposters, sent to enslave humanity rather than protect it. Despite these challenges, progress was undeniable. Space programs received massive boosts in funding, with astronauts training for missions beyond Earth's orbit. Private companies partnered with governments to build spacecraft capable of traveling farther and faster than ever before. Humanity's dream of exploring the stars suddenly felt within reach. A personal journey of growth. For Elena, the experience transformed her life in ways she hadn't expected. Beyond her professional achievements, she found herself reflecting deeply on what it meant to be human. The Sentinel's presence reminded her that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its technology or resources, but in its capacity for compassion, creativity, and resilience. One evening, after a particularly grueling day of negotiations, Elena visited a local park near her apartment. Children played under the fading light of the sunset, laughing and chasing each other without a care in the world. Watching them, Elena felt a pang of nostalgia mixed with hope. These kids would grow up knowing they weren't alone in the universe, a privilege she had only dreamed of as a child. As she sat on a bench lost in thought, a young girl approached her shyly. "Are you the lady who talks to the aliens?" the girl asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. Elena chuckled softly. "I guess you could say that," she replied. "Do they look scary?" The girl pressed, clutching a stuffed toy tightly. No, not at all, Elena assured her. They're actually quite beautiful, and very wise, the girl smiled, seemingly reassured. Good, I want to meet them someday. Her innocent declaration struck a chord in Elena. It reminded her why she had dedicated her life to science, to inspire future generations to look beyond the horizon and imagine possibilities beyond their wildest dreams. The Zorathians lurk in the shadows. While Earth focused on rebuilding and preparing for its new role, the Zorathians plotted their next move. Far beyond the reaches of human detection, Commander Vrax convened a secret council aboard his mothership. His pride still stung from their humiliating retreat, but he refused to admit defeat. We underestimated the Sentinels, Vrax admitted reluctantly during the meeting. But they are not invincible. Every empire has weaknesses. We need only find theirs. Lieutenant Crix raised a cautious objection. Commander, we barely survived our last encounter. Shouldn't we focus on strengthening our own defenses instead of provoking another confrontation? Vrax dismissed her concern with a wave of his hand. Patience is a luxury we cannot afford. The longer we wait, the stronger Earth becomes, under the Sentinels' guidance. If we act now, we can exploit their vulnerabilities before it's too late. With renewed determination, Vrax ordered his fleet to begin gathering intelligence on the Sentinels' operations. Spy drones were dispatched to monitor Earth's skies, capturing footage of star destroyers and recording communications between humans and their alien protectors. Slowly but surely, the Zorathians pieced together fragments of information that might give them an edge in future battles. Unbeknownst to them, the Sentinels were already aware of their activities. Through their network of surveillance drones, they tracked the Zorathians' movements closely, ensuring they stayed far enough away to avoid triggering another conflict. For now, the Sentinels chose to let the Zorathians believe they were evading detection, a calculated decision designed to buy Earth more time to prepare for whatever came next. Hope amid uncertainty. Back on Earth, humanity continued to forge ahead, driven by a mix of optimism and determination. Though questions lingered about the Sentinels' true intentions and the lingering threat posed by the Zorathians, people focused on building a better future. Elena often found herself thinking about Eris's words during their final meeting aboard the Star Destroyer. You already are ready. The question is whether you choose to rise to the occasion. Every day she saw evidence that humanity was choosing exactly that. From classrooms teaching children about the stars to laboratories developing cutting-edge technologies, Earth was evolving in ways no one could have predicted. As she gazed at the night sky from her balcony, Elena allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The star destroyers were invisible now, hidden among the constellations, but she knew they were still there, watching, waiting, protecting. We won't let you down, she whispered, half to herself and half to the Sentinels. And for the first time in a long time, she truly believed it. Months had passed since the Sentinels' dramatic arrival, and humanity was beginning to settle into its new reality. The initial shock and chaos had given way to a sense of purpose, as nations worked together to build a brighter future, not just for themselves, but for their place in the galaxy. Yet beneath the surface of progress and hope, tensions simmered, reminders that change was never easy. Dr. Elena Carter stood on the observation deck of the International Space Station, gazing at Earth through the station's thick glass windows. From this vantage point, the planet looked serene, a vibrant blue and green marble suspended against the infinite blackness of space. She could see no borders, no divisions, only one interconnected world teeming with life. It was a perspective she cherished, one that reminded her why she had dedicated herself to science and exploration. Beautiful, isn't it? Came a voice behind her. Turning, Elena saw Commander Raj Patel, the mission leader aboard the ISS, approaching with a warm smile. It always is, she replied softly. But today feels different. Patel nodded, understanding exactly what she meant. This wasn't just another routine mission, it was a historic moment. For the first time, Earth space agencies were collaborating directly with the Sentinels, testing prototypes of advanced spacecraft designed to enable humans to travel beyond their solar system. The project represented a monumental leap forward, proof that humanity was ready to take its place among the stars, if only they could overcome their own limitations. The challenge of unity. Back on Earth, challenges persisted. While many embraced the reforms inspired by the Sentinels, others resisted fiercely. Protesters clashed with police in major cities, demanding answers about the true cost of aligning with an alien power. Conspiracy theories continued to spread, online, fueled by fear and mistrust. Some extremist groups even claimed the Sentinels were manipulating humanity for their own gain, using fear of the Zorathians to justify their interference. Despite these obstacles, progress marched steadily. Onward, nations pooled resources to tackle climate change, launching initiatives to restore damaged ecosystems and reduce carbon emissions. Renewable energy projects flourished, transforming barren landscapes into fields of solar panels and wind turbines. Education systems adapted rapidly, preparing children not just for careers on Earth but potentially among the stars. Elena often found herself caught between optimism and realism. On one hand, she marveled at how far humanity had come in such a short time. On the other, she worried that old divisions, political, cultural, economic, might undo everything they had achieved. One evening, during a press conference in New York City, a journalist asked her bluntly, "Do you think we're ready for this? Are we really capable of living up to the Sentinels' expectations?" Elena paused, choosing her words carefully. "No one said this would be easy," she admitted. "But I believe we have the tools and the heart to succeed. What matters most is whether we choose to work together or let fear divide us." Her response resonated deeply, sparking conversations around the world. People began reflecting on their roles in shaping the future, realizing that every action mattered, no matter how small. A beacon of hope. As humanity adapted, so too did its relationship with the Sentinels. Representatives from Earth visited the Star Destroyers regularly, learning more about their technology, culture, and philosophy. In return, the Sentinels shared insights into galactic history, teaching humanity about other civilizations that had risen and fallen in pursuit of greatness. Through these exchanges, Elena developed a profound respect for the Sentinels. They weren't infallible beings devoid of emotion. Rather, they carried the weight of centuries of experience, shaped by both triumphs and failures. Eris, in particular, became a mentor figure to Elena, offering guidance not just in technical matters, but in navigating the complexities of leadership. "You are stronger than you realize," Eris told her during one meeting. "Your capacity for empathy and resilience sets you apart. Do not underestimate the power of unity." Elena took those words to heart, using them to inspire others. She traveled extensively, speaking at conferences, schools, and community events, urging people to embrace the opportunities before them. Her message was simple yet powerful. We may be small in the grand scheme of things, but together we can achieve greatness. The shadows return. While humanity focused on growth, the Zorathians remained a looming threat. Commander Vrax, still seething with humiliation, had regrouped his forces in secret. Using intelligence gathered by spy drones, he identified potential weaknesses in the Sentinels' defenses, specifically their reliance on containment fields to neutralize threats without violence. They avoid unnecessary bloodshed, Vrax mused aloud during a strategy session aboard his mothership. That hesitation will be their downfall. Lieutenant Crix, ever cautious, voiced her concerns. "Commander, attacking again would be suicide. Even if we exploit their non-lethal tactics, there's no guarantee we'll succeed." Vrax dismissed her fears with a cold laugh. "Desperation breeds innovation. If we strike fast and hard, we can cripple Earth before the Sentinels intervene. Once humanity falls, the Sentinels will lose interest. They thrive on protecting weaker species, not avenging them." Against Crix's advice, Vrax ordered his fleet to prepare for a surprise assault. This time, They wouldn't approach openly. Instead, they would use stealth technology to infiltrate Earth's orbit undetected. Their target, key infrastructure supporting global communication networks. By crippling these systems, the Zorathians hoped to sow chaos and weaken humanity's resolve. Unbeknownst to them, the Sentinels anticipated their move. Through their surveillance network, they tracked the Zorathian fleet's movements closely, deploying countermeasures to neutralize the threat before it reached Earth. A test of resolve. When the Zorathians launched their attack, humanity faced its greatest test yet. Satellites malfunctioned, internet connections faltered, and panic spread as rumors of another invasion swept across the globe. Governments scrambled to respond, unsure whether the Sentinels would intervene in time. Elena watched anxiously from the ISS as alerts flooded in from ground control. "This is it," she whispered, gripping the edge of a console tightly. Within minutes, the Sentinels acted. Their Star Destroyers deployed swarms of drones, intercepting the Zorathian ships before they could reach their targets. Containment fields sprang up once more, immobilizing the enemy fleet with precision. Commander Vrak screamed in frustration as his plans unraveled. "How do they always know?" he roared, slamming his fist against a control panel. Before he could issue further orders, the Sentinels addressed him directly. "Leave now, and do not return. Your aggression serves no purpose here." Defeated, Vrax gave the order to retreat. As the Zorathian fleet limped away, Elena exhaled a shaky breath, relief washing over her. A brighter future. With the immediate threat neutralized, humanity turned its focus back to building a better world. The attempted attack served as a wake-up call, reminding everyone that unity was not just an ideal, it was a necessity. In the months that followed, Earth continued to evolve. Space exploration accelerated, with astronauts embarking on missions farther from home than ever before. Scientists collaborated with the Sentinels to develop technologies that promised to revolutionize medicine, energy, and transportation. Communities around the globe celebrated milestones once thought impossible, united by a shared vision of peace and prosperity. For Elena, the journey had been transformative. She realized that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its ability to conquer or dominate, but in its capacity to adapt, learn, and grow. Standing on the observation deck of the ISS one final time, she gazed at Earth with pride. "We've come so far," she murmured, smiling faintly. "And this is only the beginning." Above her, the Star Destroyers hovered silently, guardians of a fragile yet resilient species. Together, humanity and the Sentinels forged a path toward a brighter future, one defined not by fear, but by hope. And somewhere out there, in the vastness of space, the Zorathians plotted their next move, unaware that their days of terror were numbered. For now, though, Earth was safe, protected by its newfound allies and strengthened by its determination to unite. The skies had parted, revealing Star Destroyers, and with them, a legacy of unity that would guide humanity for generations to come.